Chapter 603, Organs Again. The dark green light morphed into a beam, slamming into the old man's chest and sinking into the loose black robe, akin to sunlight, unstoppable. Already appearing 7 to 8 years younger, the old man's expression twisted, and every inch of exposed skin displayed signs of melting. His aura rapidly waned. Simultaneously, a burst of vigorous life force erupted from his body. Under the melting skin, flesh and blood writhed, resisting the mutation. The black-robed old man's eyes darkened, and he abruptly faded away. In an instant, a hazy face emerged from the armchair at the dining table, blending with the brown wood, about to gain clarity. At that moment, a cascade of flames descended from the crimson flame-covered ceiling, soaking the armchair and swiftly setting it ablaze. Before the brown face could fully materialize, it succumbed to the raging flames, forced to retreat. Lumion lost sight and sense of the black-robed elder subsequently. While surveying the surroundings, Lugano, lying on the dining table, suddenly sat up and jumped down. He stared at Lumion with vacant eyes, like a wandering zombie. Lumion chuckled, raising his right hand and pointing at Lugano. With this gesture, specks of brilliance shimmered in his eyes, as if the cosmos had descended. Lugano found himself in an empty night sky, surrounded by twinkling stars. He stood rooted to the ground in a daze. Without any subsequent actions, he resembled a machine that had lost its energy and controller. Having settled his servant, Lumion surveyed his surroundings once more. Yet his eyes brimmed with flowing and burning crimson flames, and the black-robed elder's figure remained elusive. Lumion's expression remained stoic as he splayed the 5 fingers on his right hand, clenching them into a fist. His body suddenly grew heavy, and the flames surrounding him surged towards him like a river converging into the sea, drawn by an invisible force. Bottles, organs from various body parts, and lightweight items in the room soared towards Lumion. On the wooden coat rack near the door, the transparent figure of the black-robed elder protruded, pulled away by an unseen force. He fought with all his might, but he couldn't resist the pull towards Lumion. It was akin to a piece of wood caught in a flood or a thin leaf fluttering in a fierce wind. Lumion's left hand was already raised, and the crimson, nearly white flame in his palm rapidly turned white under the intense suction force, forming a minuscule ball. Layers of compressed white-hot fireballs were unleashed, and the weighty and fearsome suction force dissipated. The black-robed elder finally landed on the floor, his vision completely engulfed by the blazing white fireball. Rumble! The blazing white fireball collided with the Beyonder conducting the sinister surgery and strange ritual. The explosion's sound echoed into the distance, but was muffled by the darkness shrouding the room, preventing it from permeating. In the midst of such a violent explosion, no one on the ship heard or sensed anything awry. Rumble! The black-robed elder's body was shredded by the devastating explosion. Countless corpse fragments were instantly charred or consumed by bright flames, scattering across every corner of the living room and dining room. With spirit channeling at his disposal and Ludwig providing support, Lumion reveled in the authority of the governor of the sea and the nearly demigod-level power it bestowed. He cared not for what the enemy might transform into. Incredible. Is this what it's like to be a demigod? Even if it's just an illusion, sadly, it won't last beyond 6 in the morning, Lumion sighed, directing his gaze at the burning corpse fragments. A quick inspection revealed that the black-robed elder's flesh had rapidly charred or turned to ashes. It was as if frost had met magma from a volcanic eruption. In a matter of seconds, only the heart, liver, spleen, lungs, kidneys, intestines, and stomach remained in the room, along with a grayish-white half-charred brain. Even with his feet, Lumion could tell that something was awry. Except for the brain, the remnants of the enemy were all internal organs. The malevolent surgery he had just completed involved extracting someone's internal organs to let them live as if nothing happened. At the same time, the peculiar ritual he performed utilized the complete set of internal organs to attempt to reconstruct the so-called child of God's body. All internal organs, it was hard for Lumion not to draw a connection. Could it be that this fellow's internal organs were extracted before, and he survived by piecing together others' internal organs, becoming a beyonder. What's this called? Human alchemy? If it's true, who took his internal organs? Lumion pondered silently. The stars in his eyes swiftly dissipated, and Lugano returned to the real world. From a distance of 4 to 5 meters, Lumion raised his right hand and smoothly swung it. Smack! Lugano felt the impact of an invisible force against his face. With a sudden jolt, his eyes gradually cleared of their blank stare. The first sight that greeted Lugano was the crimson flames falling around him, extinguishing before causing any havoc. Then he noticed charred body parts, scattered internal organs, glass jars filled with light amber liquid, and organs soaked in them. Am I still dreaming? Is this a nightmare? Just as this thought crossed Lugano's mind, the image of his employer, Louis Barry, with black hair and green eyes, appeared before him. Son of a bitch, this dream took an unexpected turn. Lugano shuddered and involuntarily inquired, "What happened?" Lumion pondered for a moment and asked, "What dream did you just experience?" "What dream?" Lugano confirmed his wakefulness and recollected. "I dreamed of my childhood. My mother stood at the door, urging me to come home for dinner. She even sang a nursery rhyme from my hometown. She's been gone for almost 10 years. I miss her dearly. I kept walking towards the door, but I couldn't reach her." At that moment, Lugano realized that this wasn't their suite. He exclaimed in shock, "What happened?" With a smile, Lumion responded, "You slept until midnight and suddenly sleepwalked all the way here. An old man had plans to operate on you, remove your kidneys, and slowly turn you into a patient like Ennio." The more Lugano listened, the more fear gripped him. Earlier, he had wondered how someone like Ennio, who had lost most of his internal organs, could still be alive, albeit turning weak, only to realize that he was so close to turning into a similar figure. "Hiss," Lugano gasped and asked with trepidation, "Where's that old man?" "That's all that remains." Lumion gestured at the internal organs and the grayish-white, half-charred brain on the ground. Without giving Lugano a chance to sigh, Lumion instructed, "Bring Ludwig here." It was also almost time for his midnight snack. Lugano hastily left the suite, grateful for choosing to follow Lumion to the southern continent. Otherwise, he would be at the mercy of such situations elsewhere. Lugano believed this matter had nothing to do with Lumion. He had brought it upon himself. If it were Trier, he might have encountered a similar patient who had lost internal organs. Lumion watched him leave, raised his right hand, and stroked his chin. Simply hearing the infant's cries from the failed ritual can influence beyonders of the plantar pathway to sleep and act in a sleepwalking state, receiving corresponding orders. Isn't this too exaggerated? It's an absolute suppression on the plantar pathway. I could understand a similar phenomenon if that ritual had succeeded and the child of God was truly born. Yet, it's already this powerful despite being a failed product. Even with the limitation of its range, it's still terrifying. Is there a key reason? I don't know. Moreover, can only beyonders of the plantar or sower pathways hear the child of God's cries? Can the apothecary pathway, which can interchange with the plantar pathway, also hear it? Amidst Lumion's thoughts, Lugano led Ludwig into the suite. Faced with this gruesome scene, Ludwig pressed his hand to his mouth and yawned. "Where's the food?" Lumion didn't make any immediate requests. Instead, he turned to Lugano. "Guard the door." With the prior experience of the blood-drinking incident, Lugano could vaguely guess what was about to happen. He didn't dare face it directly. Upon hearing Lumion's instructions, he heaved a sigh of relief and jogged to the corridor, closing the vermilion door behind him. Only then did Lumion gesture towards the scattered internal organs on the ground. "Do you need me to roast it for you?" Ludwig shot a quick glance at Lumion. "Don't you find it irksome? These are all human organs." Lumion emitted a soft chuckle. "In my eyes, this is already on par with a monster's insides." He then wore a self-deprecating expression. "Moreover, isn't directly consuming beyonder characteristics to advance a beyonder equivalent to eating someone?" Ludwig remained silent, taking a few steps to the side. He squatted down, picked up the old man's heart, stuffed it into his mouth, and began to chew. Crimson blood slowly trickled from the corner of his mouth. Lumion pulled up a chair and sat down, patiently waiting for Ludwig to finish his meal and digest. After 7 to 8 minutes, Ludwig retrieved a white handkerchief from his coat pocket and wiped his mouth. These internal organs belong to different people. Some are beyonders, some are ordinary folks, some old, some teenagers. There are traces of human refinement. The aura of life is rather mixed and impure. They will be controlled and influenced by the refiner. Having been refined, the person doesn't know that he's been through this. He has complete memories of the past. This is something that can't be achieved by refining an ordinary body. He followed Enio on board, hoping to extract the remaining organs and complete the ritual before Enio reached his destination. Ludwig recounted the knowledge and memories he had absorbed in a straightforward tone.